Hi everybody, I'm Vance Dykes and I'm on location at one of my favorite places in Central Florida, a Roman Catholic church known as the Basilica of Mary, Queen of the Universe. I'm really happy to be here. You know, Christianity has always been a very important part of my life, whether if it's Roman Catholicism or Protestantism or non-denominational Christianity. I grew up in a Pentecostal family that more or less identified more as non-denominational because my grandmother was Pentecostal, but my mother, my father, my sister, they identified more as, non-denominational. And me, on the other hand, I have always had a deep fondness in my heart for Roman Catholicism. So much so that I felt that I was always called to the priesthood. But unfortunately, not necessarily being called to a life of celibacy, I prayed to God that He would help me to find a church where I could be a Catholic priest while at the same time still be married. And by God's amazing grace, I was led to the Anglican Church, which is both Catholic and Protestant. I'm sure that I've already made a video where I talked about that. When I find it, I'll leave a link in the description box below so you can find that video. But anyway, what I wanted to say in this video is that Christianity has always been a very important part of my life. It was always there from the very beginning that I was born. It's basically a part of my identity. And I have to be honest, every now and then, I do struggle with my faith. And sometimes I ask myself, if there are some things about Christianity that you don't agree with, why do you still stick around? Why are you still a Christian? And why are you still pursuing the priesthood if there are some things that, at least right now, you don't understand and don't agree with? You know something? The best way that I know how to answer that question is to quote St. Peter the Apostle in the Gospel of John. I can't remember exactly what chapter it was. I think it's in chapter 6. When I get home and I read my Bible, I'll leave the biblical reference in the description box so you can find it for yourself. But basically, in this chapter of St. John's Gospel, Jesus was talking to his disciples about how if anyone wants anything to do with him, they have to eat his body and drink his blood. Talking about Holy Communion, also known as the Holy Eucharist. And at the time, nobody really understood anything about that, and his disciples were saying, this is a hard saying. Who can accept this? And one by one, they started to walk away from Jesus. They turned their back on Jesus, except for the apostles. And Jesus turned to the apostles and said, well, what about you guys? Aren't you going to go with them too? And St. Peter, usually being the first one to speak up, which I think is one of the reasons why Jesus chose him to be the first Pope of the Christian Church, Peter said, Lord, to whom can we turn to? We know that you have the words of eternal life. When you read the Gospels, you read that even the apostles had difficulty trying to understand Jesus' teachings, but they knew in their hearts, St. Peter included, that Jesus provided the teachings that lead to eternal life. And for me, that's how I feel about Christianity. I believe that Christianity teaches the true way of living life. Even though sometimes it's hard to understand the teaching sometimes, this is where you need to ask God to help you to understand what He's trying to teach you. Because with a faulty human understanding of the world, it's hard for us to understand things that God understands. And with that being said, I don't want to sound offensive to, I said that wrong. What I meant to say was, no offense to people of other faiths, but me personally, I cannot see myself being a Jew, or being Muslim, or being Hindu, or Buddhist. I may draw on some of those ideologies and philosophies every now and then, things every now and then that I may feel is actually consistent with the Christian teachings and the teachings of the Bible, but for the most part, no. I honestly can't see myself being anything else but a Christian, whether I'm a Catholic Christian, or a Protestant Christian, or a non-denominational Christian. Christianity is basically a part of my DNA. It's a part of who I am. It's practically my identity. It's part of my identity. And so that's why, no matter what, I always remain steadfast in the Christian faith. I hope that this video has been inspirational for you. Please pass it on to other people because they may be dealing with similar situations where they're trying to figure out, where they are in life, where they want to go in life, what they believe, what's consistent with what they believe in their hearts. If this video manages to help at least one person find their way in life, then thanks be to God that I was chosen to be a vessel for that specific purpose. Thank you guys for watching and have a blessed day.